In this video, I am going to dive into Peter Jackson's film, The Fellowship of the Ring, and its use of cinematography to convey the good versus evil theme in J.R.R. Tolkien's high fantasy novel by the same name. The film, released on December 10, 2001, focuses on a great deal of intricate themes and ideas, all of which have been adored by fans since the very moment it was placed into their hands. Throughout Tolkien's world building, he created maps with in-depth histories for each section that were so rich and in-depth that fans felt immersed in it. Middle-earth feels alive to the fans, and because of that, people all over the world want to dive into the themes and ideas that are present beneath the surface. Audience interaction is extremely important in the media, and the engagement of that audience has a huge impact known as transmedia, as stated in the 7 Principles of Transmedia Storytelling by Henry Jenkins. In transmedia, the audience locates the story across multiple platforms and decide how the pieces fit together. For this one specifically, it involves Tolkien's novels, Peter Jackson's films, and the diverse delivery methods that are used to get it into the hands of the audience. Audience involvement usually leads to participatory culture, commonly known as a fandom, where fans themselves become active participants in the universe and even produce their own content. Since the release of Tolkien's novel, there has not only been Peter Jackson's films, but multiple video games, comic books, songs, conventions, and fan fiction, as well as the verbal and online sharing of theories and ideas that people have about the universe, whether that may be through online forums, blogs, videos, or even word of mouth. This is what makes a story a transmedia story. Within transmedia itself, the spreading of the story encourages users to search across various platforms to dig deep into drillable qualities to uncover new layers of meaning. The Lord of the Rings universe as a whole was given many aspects by Tolkien that allowed transmedia to happen successfully. Throughout this incredible world building, he created various races, languages, locations, and unique histories for them all that allowed for fans to dig deep into almost any aspect of it. The transmedia element that I am focusing on today, though, is referred to as drillability, and it shows how Tolkien's fans dive into this story to analyze the theme of good versus evil and its complexity, as well as some of the fan theories and connections they make about the high fantasy Lord of the Rings universe. Also known as epic fantasy, high fantasy is one of the many subgenres of fantasy literature, and consists of being set in an alternative, fictional, or secondary world, has epic settings and heroic characters, and usually includes high stakes and very powerful, larger-than-life characters. It also usually includes quests and moral dilemmas, more often than not in sync with the monomyth or hero's journey. As I mentioned, the theme that I am going to focus on today is that of good versus evil. Good versus evil is a significant theme in high fantasy as a genre. This allows for deep, critical engagement with the texts the audience encounters. The idea of good versus evil is a theme that is found in many high fantasy works, and is usually a key element in the monomyth or hero's journey as well. The heroes in high fantasy are faced with obstacles and trials that are more often than not put there by the forces of evil, whatever that may be. In the story in question here, the obvious answer for the evil is Sauron himself, but what about the One Ring? A specific fan theory that has circulated for years has viewers debating whether the ring itself is inherently evil or if it is simply a pure power that can go either way. This is a way that the audience practices drillability, diving deeper into the intricate details of the film. Peter Jackson brought Tolkien stories to our screens through the act of filmmaking. Filmmaking is an art, and the amount of thought put into every single shot of each movie, show, and short film ever made would amaze the average person. The techniques used in filmmaking to convey messages with shots without explicitly explaining it is known as cinematography. Cinematography is derived from the Greek word writing with movement. It is, by definition, the art of creating visuals that we view on the screen. Cinematography involves many elements, including lighting, shot sizes, camera focus, shot composition, camera placements, and camera movements. When used in the right way, using these elements can invoke emotions and thoughts in the audience without saying a thing. As an example, in English, we read from right to left, meaning our eyes are more used to moving in that direction. That is why filmmakers usually have good characters enter from the left side of the screen to the right, with evil ones coming from the opposite, immediately invoking a sense of unease in the audience that they may not even notice at first. The way that Peter Jackson conveys the ring in the film with cinematography often involves making the ring look large, looming, and heavy. He uses shots that show the ring from above quite often, which make it look larger, and put the idea into the heads of the audience that it holds power. There are also scenes where he zooms in slowly on the ring, like this one, which conveys to the audience that the object being zoomed in on is significant and worthy of contemplation and interpretation. The hold that the ring has on Bilbo Baggins is also portrayed greatly through cinematography, especially during this scene where he looks at it with hunger and crazed desperation, once again an upward shot showing the power the ring has over him, as it is placed in the blurred foreground of the shot, showing that it is always there, still having an influence on the current focus character.
It's mine. My own. My precious.
Precious? It's been called that before.
Yes.
In a later shot, the ring is not placed in the foreground, but is rather shown through this gorgeous scene by its reflection across Frodo's questioning face.
There are markings. It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
There are few who can.
This also conveys the idea that the ring is always there and influencing people, even when it is not thought about or actively being used. But, as fans have questioned, is this ring inherently evil, or is it simply pure power which can be used for both evil or good? Boromir certainly believed the latter, and tried to convince the Fellowship that he could bear the ring and use it for good instead of evil. However, other fans have gone so far as to theorize that Boromir was possessed by Sauron, but we don't have time to dive into that one in this video. Despite all of this, the cinematography regarding the ring makes it seem incredibly ominous through the upward shots, slow zooming, and sense of heaviness. These film techniques make the ring seem like it is living, and it is debated by fans that Peter Jackson used cinematography to turn the ring into a character itself. He left the interpretation up to the fans, however, to decide whether they believed the ring was inherently evil or simply a source of power. He took Tolkien's work on the theme and created a wonderful opportunity for the film's cinematography to convey the particular theme of good versus evil in complex and intricate ways. This, then, encourages fans to drill into what good versus evil means in the story, and in turn has led to numerous fan theories and discussions regarding this theme, especially in regard to the ring itself. The Lord of the Rings universe and all of the creations that came from it is a transmedia phenomenon that encourages this amazing act of drillability, where fans dive into deeper meanings, such as what good versus evil mean in regard to the ring. But it doesn't stop there, and Peter Jackson's films continue to encourage readers to interpret small details on almost infinite aspects. It won't end anytime soon either. The franchise is still alive and well, and numerous other themes are always being explored and drilled into, thanks to J.R.R. Tolkien and Peter Jackson.